Hello, College of the Desert students. Welcome. Today, our theme is Keep Showing Up. And we have a well-rounded flow inspired by you all. And Keep Showing Up is a motto actually inspired by my students because they will often tell me the hardest part of yoga is showing up. But once they get started, the mindset changes and the magic happens. So with that, we have a well-rounded flow. We have shoulder and hip openers. There's mobility movements inside here, challenging core strength, balance, stability, strength. There's a bind, there's twist, a little bit of everything. I also want to share with you, we just don't want to show up in life, right? We want to show up with several characteristics. And I saw this the other day and I'm inspired to share this with you. Traits of likable people. The first one is empathy, that ability to show compassion for others. Empathy, number one. Number two is authenticity, the inner truth, the inner confidence. Know who you are and be confident. And the third one is, this is my favorite, enthusiasm. Show up for life with enthusiasm. And with that, I'm excited to show up for you. I have enthusiasm in these postures that we are doing today. So we're going to get started in Apanasana, the knees towards the chest. Always to remind you guys, if you need to take a modification, meet yourself where you are and listen to the wisdom of the body. We're going to use the wall today, as well as I have my blocks nearby. I have a strap, anything that we're going to use to help us to dive in a little bit deeper with the posture. That's the goal of using the props, and the goal of the wall as well for stability and strength. So here we are in Apanasana, the knees towards the chest. This is also known as a supine forward fold. So we're drawing the knees to the chest and the spine is long. I'd like you to connect with that nasal breathing as we inhale and exhale through the nose, calming the mind. On the exhale, let's think about drawing the tailbone a little bit closer to the ground. This is a gentle way to kind of release some of the muscles along the spine and center ourselves and center the breath. We're going to reach those arms over those head and extend those legs straight out. One long stretch. I might reach those fingers, maybe point those toes. One long stretch here. Good. Banana Nasana, also lying down, kind of a crescent moon pose. We're going to take the left foot kind of towards the left front corner of the mat. And we're going to cross, if we want, we might cross that right ankle over the left. And now we're going to take that right arm towards the left front corner of the mat and maybe clasp the left hand with the right wrist. We're trying to get the hips and shoulder on the mat as we breathe evenly into this lateral flexion of the spine. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Preparing for our practice. Beautiful. Hope you enjoy this one. Reach those arms over those head. Extend those legs up. Center yourself a little bit. Banana Nasana on the other side. Let's take the right foot kind of towards that right front corner of the mat. Maybe clasp that left ankle over, kind of weigh ourselves down. And now we'll take the right hand and clasp that left wrist as we open that left side body. Good. So the whole body is kind of moving here towards the right as we fall into that shape of a banana. Now, how do we get both hips, both shoulders? Let's relax into this pose. Feel that opening of the left side body. Breathing intentionally as we inhale and exhale through the nose. Beautiful. Let's reach the arms over the head, the legs straight out. Good. Now let's draw both knees to the chest again, Apanasana, as we clasp up high on the shins here. The spine is long, the shoulders are grounded, the chin is centered over the chest. And on the exhale, we draw the knees a little bit closer, tailbone towards the ground as we breathe evenly on both sides of the spine. We're going to extend that left leg straight and draw the right knee now kind of outside the torso and ribs. Good. Preparing for a lying down spinal twist. Let's guide the right knee now across the body. This is where we come onto that left hip. We're trying to get that right shoulder towards the ground, and the arm, that right arm, is in line with the shoulder. If we need to use a prop and place it kind of under that right knee, we can, but let's follow the gaze over the shoulder, maybe towards the fingertips. As we breathe evenly into this lying down spinal twist, preparing ourselves for this practice of keep showing up. On the breath, maybe the exhale's a little bit deeper as we deepen this upper and middle back twist here. Gently come back center. Let's draw both knees to the chest and just kind of center ourselves as we breathe evenly on both sides of the spine in that release. Let's extend that right leg straight, maybe kind of ground through the heel, toes straight up. Clasp up high on that left knee and draw that knee outside of the left torso towards that rib cage. Let's connect with that breath as we inhale and exhale through the nose. Let's guide the left knee now across the body for this lying down spinal twist. Some of you may place a prop under that left knee. We're more concerned with that left arm. We're extending it from the shoulder, trying to get the left shoulder towards the ground. And then eventually the gaze follows as we lower the chin just slightly towards that left shoulder. And the gaze follows over the shoulder towards the fingertips. Continue to inhale and exhale through the nose, calming the mind, deepening this twist. Gently come back center as we draw both knees to the chest and kind of weigh ourselves down, kind of reducing. I like to think of myself kind of weighing myself down, tailbone towards the ground, calming the mind, maybe reducing anxiety. We're going to massage the spine a little bit, sometimes known as the roly-poly. We're going to roll back and forth. Back and forth. We're going to connect with the core here as we come to a seated position here. Let's start with the hands behind, a few inches, maybe 6 inches behind us. And the legs, same thing, the legs are bent, heels in, toes out. And we're gonna add this hip rotation. So let's gently allow the knees to drop to the right and to the left. These are known as windshield wipers, hip rotation. Good for hip mobility and also reducing of back pain. We can keep our hands right where they are, or we may center ourselves, connect with the core. We make the arms like goalposts. And here we do this dynamic mobility of these windshield wipers. We're going to leave no stone left unturned on our flow today. We've showed up and we're going to reap the benefits. Let's do 2 more. Mindful mobility. Gently come back center. Pigeon along the wall. Woohoo! Pigeon along the wall. So I want you to find that wall and move your mat. Good. And we're going to start with the feet about hip width apart. The legs are bent. The hips are directly under that knee. We're going to awaken the arch of that left foot, and we're placing it directly on that right knee. The reason we awaken the arch is we want to protect the ligaments, the soft tissue around the knee. Deep release of the outer left glute and the external rotators. We either can clasp kind of the belly of the hamstring as we press that right foot against the wall, or we can take the edges of the hands. The main action here as we press against the wall, awaken the arch of that left foot, is we want to draw the knee a little closer to the wall and feel that release of the outer left glute. Maybe we close our eyes and connect with this breath. Gently release as we recenter ourselves. This is known as, we're preparing. It's a preparatory posture as we continue to warm up. But this is so good for the pelvic hip girdle health and to allow us to kind of refine our alignment for other postures. We're going to gently press that left foot against the wall. This is where we're going to awaken the arch of that right foot as we have the ankle directly on that left knee. And that main action, we awaken the arch of that right foot to think about drawing that right knee closer, an inch or two closer to the wall. Either clasp the belly of that left hamstrings, or I like to take the edges of my hand on the ankle and the knee. Close those eyes, but continue to kind of draw that right knee closer. Connect with that mindful breath. On the exhale, release the outer hip, the outer glutes. Beautiful, gently release. We're going to come up to the side, guys, and we've got the wall here. This is known as the shoulder clock. It's kind of a magical posture here to come into wrist therapy, chest and shoulders. So we're going to stand an arm width away. So play around with that. Let's start with our left hand against the wall here. We're standing perpendicular and the palm is in line with the shoulder. Let's press against that wall and feel the chest and pec opening. Good for wrist therapy, opening the inner arm, the chest and the shoulders. Now we'll take that left hand, we'll draw those fingers away. So we're going to press the palm, the backs of the hand, or the fingers here against that wall here. Same thing, we're going to open the chest, the shoulders, the wrists. Now we're going to take those fingers and we're pressing them down, but we're continuing to press the heel, the hand, the fingers against that wall to release, dive into those tissues of the wrist, the inner arm, the chest, and the shoulders. Gently release. Now we'll switch directions. So I've got my right arm this time. I'm kneeling. I'm pressing the heel of my hand, my entire hand, my fingers against that wall. Feeling the inner arms, the wrist therapy, the armpits, the chest, and the shoulders. So where we can connect with that breath as we inhale and exhale through the nose. Practicing the shoulder clock. Now the fingers are moving away here to the side here, and we're pressing that entire hand again, and the fingers against that wall. Diving into the release, the warm-up of the wrists, the inner arms, the chest, and the shoulders. And now the fingers are pointing down as we, oppositional forces, press that hand against that wall. The inner elbow is facing up. The armpits are opening. The pec and chest are opening. Gently release. We're going to face the wall, some wrist therapy. We're standing on those knees, guys. Inner thighs spiral back. Let's extend those arms directly in front, in line with the shoulders here. Let's come into wrist therapy. We'll bend those elbows. I like to come up on the breaks of the hand, the fingers. And on the exhale, press the hand now against that wall. Good, good. Inhale, find that length. Exhale, bend those elbows. Good. On the inhale, push against that wall. On the exhale, bend those elbows. Good. Push against that wall. Inhale, find that length. Several more wrist therapy. Good. We're going to back off the wall just an inch or two as we open up the chest and we open up the heart. For some of you, you might utilize a strap. As we take those arms behind, we want to draw that navel in. Clasp those hands behind. This is where we're going to draw the palms towards one another. The wrists away from the elbows away from the shoulders. Shoulder blades towards the spine. As we feel the broadening of the collarbones, the opening of the chest. We'll stay here several breaths. Reaping the many benefits of this pose, clasping the hands behind. One of our shoulder openers. Good. We did the shoulder clock. Now we clasp the hands behind. Now we'll do the top arm, kind of a Gomukhasana arm. So we're standing on the knees. We're going to draw that left arm up. We're clasping just behind that left elbow. Let's walk the fingertips, trying to get them between the scapula here, shoulder mobility. Let's press the back of the head against that upper arm. Adding a lateral flexion here, kind of like Bananasana, as both elbows come to the right. Feel that opening of that left side body. Gently come back up, press the back of the head against that upper arm. Gently release. Let's do a cleansing breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale, draw that right arm up. Clasp just behind that elbow. As we walk the fingertips down the spine, continue to draw that navel in. The chest is broad and lifted. And let's press the back of the head against that upper arm. Now let's exploring this lateral flexion as we release the triceps, release the shoulders, draw both elbows to the left here as we open that right side body. Inhale and rise as we center ourselves. Maybe walk the fingertips down the spine, another half an inch or so. Gently release. Awesome shoulder therapy here. Leaving no stone left unturned. Let's face the top edge of our mat here. And ankles, knees, and shins are going to come together. This is where we're going to explore this toe squat. So we're going to draw the heels together. Inner thighs touching here. We're going to sit back on those heels. I want you to feel, some mobility between the pinky toe to the big toe, releasing the fascia in the feet. We may adjust yourselves as you take those sit bones towards those heels, squeeze those inner thighs, try to stop those heels from splaying. As we settle in, releasing the fascia, sending that blood flow to the toes. Maybe close your eyes as we stay here several breaths, breathing mindfully, intentionally. Inhale and exhale through the nose. Toe and ankle mobility, gently release. I like to play around with kind of mindful transitions. Here I'm rocking forward and back. You can use your hands on the ground, that's fine. But how can we play around with that rocking over ankle mobility? Good. Here we are, we're gonna come up to the top edge of the mat. I'm gonna move my mat off the wall a little bit. You've got your blocks nearby. The blocks are an extension of the body. Feel free to use them. Good. You can have them nearby. Here we are in Tadasana. Tadasana is a little bit different for each person. Maybe feet are hip width apart. Maybe feet together. Maybe a little space between those heels. Let's do a cleansing breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Hands heart-centered. As we dive into our practice, I just want to remind you of the power of the Ujjayi Pranayama, a light constriction of the back of the throat. This is also known as the ocean breath. So we inhale, we exhale through the nose, but right after the inhale, there's a light constriction in the back of the throat, often making that audible sound. It is known as the victory breath, the victory breath over one's suffering. This is where the breath and our emotions, our body, mind, spirit come together. As we take a moment to acknowledge the benefits of keep showing up. Again, the words empathy, authenticity, and enthusiasm. As we bow our head and set an intention, let's draw the fingertips up to the third eye. Keep showing up. Perhaps we offer our intention, our efforts, our energy to someone who could use it. And we gently draw the hands back to the heart. Keep showing up. Tadasana. Let's open our palms. Let's receive that energy as we awaken the arches. Spread those toes. Firm those thighs. Kneecaps lifted. Roll the shoulders back. Let's gaze straight ahead. With the inhale, let's draw that prana up, that life force. Draw the navel in, maybe tailbone under slightly as we lift up out of the waist, gazing up. Exhale, we're gonna gently bend those knees, swan dive down, a little dynamic, heel and toe, heel and toe. We can bend those knees. We can, for some of us, you might wanna use blocks as we are warming up. Good. Come into this halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana, the tailbone's lifted, either hands to the shins, the thighs, under the shoulders. This is where we draw the navel in. We kind of shine that heart here. Feel that crown of the head coming forward. On the exhale, we're going to frame the feet. We're going to step that right leg back into Phalakasana plank. Maybe you do a few dynamics where we rock forward and back. We're going to stack here, shoulders over the wrist. This is where we're doming that upper back, drawing the navel in, tailbone under. We're firming the quads. The whole body is involved in Phalakasana plank. The gaze is lightly forward, lightly down. We'll stay here several breaths. Core strength. Gently lower the knees. Shoulder therapy here. Puppy dog pose, Anahatasana. The knees are bent, the hips are stacked directly over the knees here. And we're going to walk those arms forward. Tailbone is lifted. Good. Drawing the navel in. Walking those arms forward. The palms are shoulder width apart. Energetically, we're trying to get the forehead towards the ground. As we open the chest, kind of open the heart, release the shoulders, heart melting pose. To dive in a bit deeper, you may be able to eventually lower the chest and chin towards the ground. Energetically on the exhale, I like to feel the release of the heart melting. Gently come out of this pose. We'll come to tabletop, hands a few inches in front. So we're going to curl those toes, draw the navel in, send those hips back, come into a dynamic downward facing dog. Hands are shoulder width apart, the feet are hip width apart. Now let's come into a static hold as we press into the palms, head in line with those arms, draw length in the spine. We're sending that pelvis back and up. We're firming the thighs. On the exhale, maybe lowering the heels a bit closer towards the ground. Releve up on the inhale, gaze between those hands, and mindfully we're going to walk the feet towards those hands. Come into this halfway lift, either hands to the shins, thighs, or towards the ground. Shining that heart forward. Gazes down, slightly forward. Exhale, fold a bit deeper, our Uttanasana. This is where we stack the hips over the knees and the ankles. Allow that neck to be long and feel that release in the entire backside body. Gently bend those knees, swan dive up, upward salute. Exhale, hands heart centered. Tadasana. Cleansing breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Keep showing up. Awaken the arches, Pada Bandha in the feet. Inhale, draw that energy up. Upward salute. Lift up out of the waist, energy out the fingertips. Exhale, we're going to gently bend those knees. Maybe we'll do a little heel and toe, heel and toe. Halfway lift, either hands to the shins, thighs, or under the shoulders. Tailbone is lifted, come a little bit more to the midfoot as we shine that heart forward. Feel the crown of the head coming forward. On the exhale, framing the feet, let's step that left leg back into Phalakasana plank. We're going to add some core agility drills. Let's round that upper back. Draw the left knee to the chest and the nose. Pause, and we're going to draw the left knee towards the right tricep. Pause. Left knee towards that left tricep. Pause. Step back, inhale, find that plank. On the exhale, draw the right knee towards the chest and the nose. Pause. Draw the right knee towards that left tricep. Come across the body. Now come across to the right tricep. Step back, inhale, find that length. On the left, right, draw the left knee, the chest, and the nose. Now we're going to come across the body, the tricep. You may even come up to the shoulder. It's a little more challenging. Now draw the left knee towards the left tricep or shoulder. Step back, Phalakasana plank. Draw the right knee towards the chest and the nose. Right knee towards that left tricep across the body, working those obliques. Now walk the right knee towards that right tricep and shoulder. Step back, Phalakasana plank. Gently lower the knees. Puppy dog pose. This is where we're going to stack the hips over the knees. Walk those arms forward. Extend those arms. Good. Draw the navel in. The tailbone is lifted. Shoulder therapy, also known as heart melting pose. Forehead to the mat. Connect on the exhale, the release of the opening of the chest and the shoulders. Maybe chest and chin. In time, some of you may practice what I'm going to do next. Tucking those toes. Lifting those hips as we put a little bit more weight into the chest and the chin. Definitely need some hamstring flexibility in practice. Anahatasana. Puppy dog. Wherever you are, sitting bones are lifting, heart is melting. Gently lower. Walk those hands back to tabletop. Let's have the hands a few inches in front of the shoulders. As we curl those toes, draw the navel in. Send those hips back, downward facing dog. Pushing that floor away, draw length in the spine. Let's firm those thighs. Breathe in any stiffness and any pain. Feet come together in down dog. I like it because it's a great calf stretch. Lowering the heels a little bit closer towards the ground. Inhale, draw that left leg up to hip height. Toes are pointed down. Now mindfully draw that left knee, the chest and the nose. Place the left foot directly next to that left hand inside. Lower the right knee. Top of the foot to the mat, pointed straight back. Let's do a few dynamics for low lunge here. On the exhale, rocking forward and back. Good. Anjaneyasana. On the exhale, let's sink a little bit lower. Press through the top of the back foot. Root through the four corners of the front foot. Draw the navel in, scissor those hips. Inhale, draw those arms up, either the gaze straight ahead or maybe gaze towards the fingertips. This is where that ujjayi, that ocean breath is there to help us find balance. Gently on the exhale, release hands to those hips. We're going to explore a lot of things, guys. We're going to quarter turn this left foot. Left heel in, toes are pointed out like 45 degrees. Think of the left big toe towards the left front corner of the mat. On the exhale, the knee now comes directly over those toes. We're opening that left hip. We're releasing that right hip. Hands on the hips. Let's find our breath. Let's find our stability. Gently come back center. This is where we're going to straighten that left foot. Exhale, sink lower. As we use those inner thighs, we scissor those hips. Good. Now let's add an element of a back bend. Hands to those hips. Elbows towards one another. Some of you may want to bring the ground towards you, so you might utilize the blocks. We're adding the element of a back bend. Shoulder blades are towards the spine. We may come to the blocks or the ground. This is where the neck is long, the gaze is up. We roll the shoulders back. That element of the back bend. Good. Hands to the hips. This is where we frame the foot. Runner's pose. Left knee stacked over the ankle. Back leg is straight and engaged. Heel over the ball of the foot. Let's come to the pinky toe side of that right back foot so we have that internal rotation. Either press into the fingertips, the palm. Some of you might even utilize the block. Let's explore as we brush that chest. Draw that left arm up, mid-thoracic twist. Feel a release of the right hip flexors. Let's connect with the breath on the exhale as we grow this twist. Shoulder over the shoulder. Gently lower the right knee. This is where we're going to clasp outer edge of this foot. Draw the heel a little closer to the buttocks. Try not to collapse that right shoulder. The main action is as the heel comes closer to the buttocks, I like to kind of work on flipping that grip here. Feel a release in the right hip flexors. Let's find that ujjayi, that ocean breath as we feel the release of those hip flexors. Gently release. Runner's pose. The back leg is straight and engaged. Press into those palms. Mindfully make your way back to Adho Mukha, downward dog. Feet come together in downward dog. Inhale, we're going to draw that right leg up. Straight and engaged, hip level, toes pointed down. Mindfully transition, draw the right knee to the chest and the nose. Place the right foot next to the right hand. Lower the left knee, top of the foot to the mat. Let's do a few dynamics as we rock forward and back. Forward and back. Good. Scissor those hips as we sink a little bit lower in Anjaneyasana. Draw the navel in. Inhale, draw those arms up. Anjaneyasana, either the gaze straight ahead or gaze up at those fingertips. Gently release, hands to those hips. Let's do a little quarter turn here. Right heel in. The toes are coming out 45 degrees. Think of the right big toe towards the right front corner. Now on the exhale, we're going to sink lower. So we have that element of kind of like a half prayer squat here. Opening that hip. Good. Feeling a release of the back hip flexors. Gently come back center as we straighten this right foot. On the exhale, sink a little bit lower. So we're going to add the element of a back bend. We can keep those hands on those hips. Roll the shoulders back, scapula towards the spine. You may come a bit deeper with the hands to the ground or to the blocks. The gaze is up, the neck is long. With the inhale, feel the chest opening, the heart opening. Gently release. Great job. Frame the foot. This is where we're going to tuck the back toes. The back leg is straight and engaged. Runner's pose. Let's add a quarter turn. So we're going to come to the left pinky toe side of the back foot. Maybe adjust the fingertips or the palm here. As we now brush that chest and draw that right arm up. Here we have a little revolved runner's pose. Little mid-thoracic twist and even a release of the outer left abductors. We'll stay here several breaths. So good for the spine. Gently lower the left knee. This is going to take time for some of us to clasp that back foot with that right hand, drawing the heel towards the buttocks. Maybe close those eyes and feel a release of those hip flexors. Breathe deep, breathe intentionally. Gently release. We'll frame that right foot. Let's curl the back toes, back leg straight and engaged. Press into those palms. Mindfully find your way back to downward facing dog as we push that floor away, draw length in the spine. We'll add a vinyasa here. On the inhale, find that Phalakasana plank as we dome that upper back, shoulders over the wrists. We can modify by lowering the knee to the ground. Bend those elbows, draw the sternum and chest forward, chaturanga. Elbows close to the sides, shoulder blades rooted across that upper back. Upward facing dog. Shimmy that pelvis forward. Legs are straight and engaged. Let's kind of anchor from the big toes. Chest comes past the biceps. With the inhale, gaze up, roll the shoulders back, lift up from the thoracic heart. Exhale, come over the tops of the feet, some toe mobility there. Let's send those hips back, downward facing dog. High crescent lunge. Let's draw the left knee, the chest, and the nose. Place the left foot next to the left hand. The back leg is straight and engaged. Connect with the core. With the inhale, let's draw those hands to those hips. Back leg straight and engaged. Let's draw that right arm forward to kind of center those hips. Draw that left arm to meet. Let's firm that left outer hip and glute. With the inhale, draw those arms up. Let's connect with the breath here. On the exhale, maybe sink a little bit lower. Here we have a nice high crescent lunge. Balance, strength. On the exhale, release as we frame the foot. Make your way back into Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. Pushing that floor away. Let's try to get the heels kind of in line with the pinky toe and feel those inner thighs spiraling back. High crescent lunge on the right side as we draw the right knee to the chest and the nose. Place the right foot next to the right hand. Back leg is straight and engaged. Right away, connect with that core. With the inhale, draw those hands to the hips, the steering wheel of the body. Let's draw that left arm forward so you feel that left hip coming forward. Right arm joins forces. This is where we're firming, kind of engaging that outer right hip. With the inhale, draw those arms up. With the exhale, sink a little bit lower. Balance, strength, and stability. Maybe find a drishti, your a spot to kind of focus on. And maybe sink a little bit lower. Gently release, hands to the hips, or reframe the foot. Make your way back into Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. Let's add that vinyasa. As we come inhale into plank, we can modify by lowering the knees. Bend those elbows, draw that sternum and chest forward. Shoulders in line with those elbows. Elbows close to the sides, tight as light. Press to the tops of the feet. Shimmy that pelvis forward. Roll the shoulders back. Legs straight and engaged. With the inhale, lift the chest, open the chest. Exhale, come over the tops of the feet. Downward facing dog. Push that floor away. With the exhale, heels a little closer towards the ground. Let's gaze between those hands. We're going to mindfully try to spring forward into a prayer squat. So the heels will come inward, the toes out. On the exhale, we spring forward, heels in, toes out. For some of us, this is a challenge. We're going to place the block onto the sitting bone. Some of us might have our hands in front. We'll pick up the heels. It's called the wisdom of the body, meeting ourselves where we are. But this flow has it all. Shoulder therapy, hip mobility, hip opening, squats, lunges, hinging at the hips, all these beautiful movement patterns. Let's draw the elbows inside the knees. Feel the chest opening, the heart opening. The lines of energy here, the sit bones towards the ground, yet the crown of the head is reaching up. With the inhale, feel the chest rise, the prana rise, out the crown of the head. With the exhale, the prana down the spine. Gently draw the hands to the ground as we come into some core work here. Navasana. We're going to take the long edge of the block. We're placing it kind of near the pubis bone, and we're squeezing those inner thighs, Navasana. So the legs are engaged to squeeze the block. We can modify this boat pose, legs bent, or find the balance of the back of the sitting bones and the buttocks. Inhale. Good. Use those inner thighs, squeeze big toes, kissing like you're holding a beach ball. The entire core is engaged. To challenge, here we are. Low boat, glue that lower back. Inner thigh, squeezing the blocks. Big toes kissing. Transition, gently bend those legs. We can keep modified, squeeze that block. Inhale and lift. Like we're holding that beach ball. Balance. Strength. Stability. Everything's connected to that core. Gently remove the block. Here's more mobility work. Heels in, toes out, connect to the core. Let's transition back to Malasana. Maybe place the block again under that sitting bones, whatever you need to do. Hands to the ground, maybe heels lifted. Elbows inside the knees. Let's connect to that prana. With the inhale, the chest expands. Exhale, come back down the spine. We're going to add elements of a bind, a Baddha bind and a revolved. We're going to take that left arm and draw it kind of in front of the shin, a straight line. Let's take that right arm and kind of brush the chest as we draw that right arm up. And then the gaze follows us, torso rotation. We can add some phases here where we flip that right palm, that top palm. We clasp, we kind of either the back of the palm against the sacrum or the hip. Another option or phase is we flip that bottom arm, we come close to it, right? That left arm comes across the shin. We soften that right shoulder. We revolve the torso so we have a little twist. And let's breathe deep. Gently come back center, elbows inside the knees. Draw length in the spine. Broaden those collarbones. Breathe deep. Right arm comes across kind of the shin here. It's a straight line. Left arm brushes the sky. The gaze is up. We're revolving the torso. We take that left arm, we kind of flip it, the back of the palm against the sacrum or outer right hip. Phase two. Once we can get that arm across the shin here, so we flip that palm in time, clasp those fingers. Now we have the Baddha Malasana. Bottom arm presses against the shin, so the right arm against that shin. The gaze follows us, we soften that left shoulder. We revolve the torso. Gently come back, center, hands by the chest. With the inhale, feel the prana rise. Exhale, prana back down the spine. Ankle, hip mobility, spine lengthener. Hands to the ground. Yes, boat was a challenge. I think we should practice it again. So we take the block, long edge. We place it near the pubis bone. Inner thighs, the adductors are coming together. We draw that navel in. The chest is broad and lifted. We can modify legs bent, or we inhale, kick out. Big toes touching. Inner thighs, squeezing that block. Half boat, gently lower the lower back. Arms are by the sides. Adductors squeezing the block, maybe big toes kissing. Upper back and shoulders off the mat. Gaze is at the toes. We'll stay here several breaths. Core strength. Gently transition, maybe bend those legs. Connect to the core. The core helps us balance as we kick up. Navasana. Squeeze that block. Big toes kissing. Energy out the fingers. Energy out the toes. Gently release, something to practice. Way to build energy, way to build heat. Malasana, ankle mobility. Heels in, toes out. Good. Find your way into this Malasana. Elbows inside the knees. Anjali Mudra, hands at the heart. Inhale and rise. Come back to Tadasana. Cleansing breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Way to go, guys. Here we are. Let's go against the wall now. Good. Warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3. So we have the blocks. I'd like us to use the blocks, if you have them, to help us find strength and stability. We've done a lot of external opening of the hips. Now we're going to do more standing posture, balancing posture. That's known as a closed hip and a slight internal rotation of the back leg. The Warrior 3. This is all about strength and stamina. We're going to kind of have to play around with how to get on the wall and what's comfortable for us, okay? So we'll play around with this as we get into it. It's probably about a leg length away. We've got the blocks underneath us. Tadasana, ground through those heels, spread those toes. Active legs, draw that navel in, roll the shoulders back. Inhale, draw that energy up, that prana. With the exhale, we're swan diving down. Here we are building strength and stability. We're going to kind of shift the weight on that left leg. It's not locked straight, it's lightly bent. We're going to extend that right leg directly in line with the hip. I've got a good measurement here. Good. I like to kind of have my fingers here at the edge. So ankle, knee, hip are in one line. Every muscle's being engaged of that standing leg. Especially recruit the outer left hip and glute. Now as we ground through that right heel, I want you to draw the quadricep to the bone to engage those hamstrings. But we want to connect with the core. In time, this is where we may, phase 2, pitch that chest forward, airplane arms. The gaze is forward, maybe slightly down. Balance, strength, and stability. Continue to press that right heel back, extend that leg from the hip, engage those hamstrings, standing leg, stable and strong. Gently lower the hands to the block. Let's refine back hip forward and down. Warrior 3, maybe straighten that left leg a bit. Gently lower the right leg to a forward fold. Gently bend those knees, swan dive up. Upward salute. Exhale, hands heart-centered. Tadasana, cleansing breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. This is a powerful pose. Been really practicing a lot to build on isolation and strength of the entire standing leg and also the stabilizer muscles. Let's work on the right side. Tadasana. Inhale, draw that energy with us. Upward salute. With the exhale, we're swan diving down. Got the hands on the blocks. We're extending that left leg straight back to the wall. Maybe adjust yourself a little bit. Good. The back leg extends, but it's also the back hip forward and down. Stability and strength of that right leg. Recruit that outer right hip, those abductors, right outside the upper hip here, the abductors. Ground through that left heel. Draw that quadricep to the bone. Engage those hamstrings. Connect to the core as we pitch that chest forward. The gaze is forward and down. Balance, strength, stability. Hands back to the blocks. Refine back hip forward and down. Gently lower that left leg. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Anchor the big toes. Allow that release of the backside body. Gently bend those knees, swan dive up. Exhale, hands heart-centered. Cleansing breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Another little shoulder therapy. Reverse prayer. Paschimma Namaskara. Let's take those arms are extended, draw those thumbs towards us. Here we have a reversed fist bump. Now the goal is, for some of us right here, the posture itself that we're practicing, maybe reverse to this prayer. Palms touching. We're trying to walk the fingers up the spine between the scapula and shoulders. Palms together, pinky towards the spine, elbows towards one another. Draw the navel in, the chest is broad and lifted. We'll stay here several breaths, maybe close those eyes. Wrist, chest, and shoulder therapy. Gently release. We're going to come into an L handstand along the wall. We're going to have the blocks nearby. How do we creatively measure this and get to this? Maybe we practice that malasana, that prayer squat that we did. So the feet a little wider than hip width apart. We've got our glutes along that wall. Draw those arms up. On the exhale, sink a little bit lower into this prayer squat. Good, as we open those hips. Lower the hands to the ground. We just kind of mindfully maneuvered. So we're seeing the leg length here. I've got my back against the wall. And I'm going to take the block and measure right where the heel line is at the edge of the block. So now we're going to build upon shoulder stability, stamina, and strength with the L handstand. We've warmed up the core. We've gotten to our chaturangas. Now we're going to modify this, or maybe explore this, for shoulder stability, stamina, strength, and deliver a lot of oxygenated blood flow to the heart and the mind. So we have our hands here, shoulder width apart. We can take a child's pose if we decide. And we're going to try to get the shoulders over the wrists and the hips over the shoulders. We can modify with the legs bent. Little by little, good. Shoulders over the wrist, good. The shoulder blades are protracted. We gaze at the hands at first. Now I want you to gaze at the wall to engage the chest and shoulders. Then gaze back at those hands, shoulder stability. We're going to stay here a while. You can always modify, take a child's pose. Shoulder stability, stamina, and strength. Hips over the shoulders, shoulders over the wrists. Shoulder stability and strength. Gently come out of this pose. With continued practice, you can improve tremendously at that pose. Let's take a wide-legged child's pose, big toes touching, widen those knees. Walk those arms forward. This is where we're going to try to get the forehead to the mat, the chest to the mat. Maybe reach those arms forward an inch or two and then send those hips back. It kind of becomes like a traction for the spine here. The spine moving in two different directions. Gently come to all fours. Let's come up more to the top edge of the mat. Let's have the hands a few inches in front of the shoulders. Curl those toes, send those hips back into downward facing dog. Push that floor away. We'll open up the hips now. We're going to draw that left leg high as we draw that left heel towards the buttocks. The knee is lifted, kind of pointed towards the sky. Hips are stacked over one another and they're opening. Transitioning to pigeon, Ekapada Raj Kapotasana, we're going to draw the left knee outside of the left wrist. For some of you, many of us, this is really challenging. This is where a block, and there's different sizes of blocks or pillows, you can place directly under that sitting bone. That right leg is pointed straight back. We're trying to kind of ground through those sit bones in this pose to release that left hip. But there's also in this hip opener, once we find stability with the block, hands, meet yourself where you are. This is your practice, your breath. You can add elements of a back bend. So similar how we warmed up, maybe spin those thumbs forward, roll the shoulders back, scapula towards the spine. Energetically, want to continue to, if this is a back bend, press to the top of the back foot. That right hip rotates forward. To explore this, once the sitting bones are grounded, the hips are level, maybe we interlace those fingers and clasp the back of the head, thumbs towards the nape of the neck. Tilt those elbows up. With the inhale, you feel the opening of the chest, opening of the heart. Gently release. Hands under the shoulders. Tuck the back toes, connect to the core as we transition back to downward facing dog. With the inhale, draw that right leg high, heel towards the buttocks. You feel that knee towards the sky. Opening that right hip. Mindfully to the pigeon pose, right knee outside of the right wrist. I like to draw the heel a little bit closer to the pubis bone towards that midline. For many of us, a block or a pillow under that right sitting bone as we're trying to kind of ground down. Energetically press to the top of the back foot. Feel that left inner thigh spiraling back here. Front hip back, back hip forward. Draw that navel in, and we're going to meet ourselves where we are. Maybe some of us are relaxing into this pose a little bit more. That element of a hip opener, and then back bend. Roll the shoulders back, scapula towards the spine. Neck is long, gaze up. Adding elements where we may interlace those fingers. Clasping the back of the head, maybe thumb towards the neck. Tilt those elbows up. Main action of the breath. With that inhale, open the chest, open the heart. Gently transition. Hands under the shoulders. Curl the toes, make your way back into downward facing dog, a little dynamic heel and toe, heel and toe. Push that floor away, draw length in the spine, and then exhale, heels a little closer to the ground. Gently lower the knees. We're going to neutralize the spine here in Dandasana. So in Dandasana, we got a nice side view here. We're rooting through the sitting bones. It's all kind of, the legs are extended, grounding through the heels, outer edges of the arches coming towards you. If you notice that you're someone that slumps, sitting on a little pillow actually brought out a wedge. For some of you that tend to slump, sitting on this wedge makes a gigantic difference to help you shift that pelvis and rotate it more anteriorly. Grounding through those heels, the chest is broad and lifted. With the inhale, I want you to draw those arms up, energy out the fingertips. Adding a little twist, Parshva Dandasana. The right hand comes outside the left knee. The left hand comes behind like a kickstand. Let's connect with the breath. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, gaze over that shoulder. Let's continue that dynamic breath, several breaths. One more dynamic breath, and then we're going to continue that gaze over the shoulder, deepening that upper and middle back. Little twist. Gently come back center. Root to the sitting bones. Draw that navel in. Light dorsiflexion of the feet. Inhale, draw those arms up. Draw length. On the exhale, the left hand outside the right knee. The right hand comes behind as we roll that shoulder back. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, release. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, release. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, release. Continue to gaze over the right shoulder, deepening that twist. Gently center yourself. Come back to Dandasana. This time we're going to add a Paschimottanasana, that forward fold. So for many of you, this is where it's a little bit of a challenge, and this is where that strap or a belt can help you. I like to, no matter where you are, take a block. A lot of my students will use the block and that strap because they want to keep that outer edges of the feet. We want to keep that feet engagement. And if you're super flexible, been practicing for a while, or might have longer hamstring muscles, 2 blocks work. Ground through the sit bones. Inhale, create length. Exhale, fold forward 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 more inches. Good. We'll stay here several breaths, reaping the many benefits, and then we're going to practice this pose twice. Try not to collapse that chest. Feel the release of the calves, hamstrings, lower back, middle, upper back. Inhale and rise. That was a warm-up. Let's do this again. Root to the sitting bones. Draw that navel, and the pelvis begins to rotate forward. Inhale, draw length. Exhale, try not to collapse the chest. Reach forward. 2, 3, 4 more inches. Let's connect with the breath. On the inhale, the spine is lengthening. On the exhale, the surrendering, the release, and the entire backside body. Maybe relax just a bit. Lower the head, but feel that crown of the head continue to come forward. With the exhales, the surrendering to this release. Inhale and rise. As we keep showing up, hands back to the heart. We know with effort comes rest. Here we are against the wall. Let's take some time and enjoy legs up the wall. A restorative pose that gives back to us in so many ways. We often enter it by coming close to the wall, swinging those legs up. For some of us, if we have a hard time, we can use a pillow, a bolster under our lower back, if that helps release, if the lower back hurts. We're grounding through the heels. We're trying to get the sitting bones a little bit kind of touching the wall. Grounding through the heels. The legs are active and engaged. We draw the navel in. The spine is long. The shoulders are grounded. Let's relax those palms. The breath is that natural nasal breathing. And as we shift the blood from the lower extremities to the heart, it's a time to kind of nourish the spirit, nourish the body, the mind. The active reversal pose. Acknowledge that we showed up. And as we go out into the mat, to continue to show up with empathy, authenticity, and enthusiasm. You're going to stay here 5 minutes on your own. Just allow it to kind of soak in the many benefits of this pose.